In the elder eons, before clay learned to hold speech and stars were still counted by song, a powerful instrument of the Annunaki passed between stewards of earth and those who govern them. Later tongues called it the Spear of Destiny or the Spear of Amenti. It was not forged to pierce flesh, it was tuned to pierce veils, a vector that joined densities, a plumb line that measured conscience against cosmos. Wherever it appeared, order returned to the field, as iron filings returned to a magnet. Pilgrims marked its wake as stillness after storm. Engineers marked it as phased true silence in the grid. Sages marked it as right-seeing in the heart. The spear did not persuade, it calibrated. Its presence reset sequence, closed counterfeit paths, and let the lawful path light by its own accord. Its name anchors it to the halls of Amenti, the underworld precinct mirrored in Kemite rites, yet deeper than funerary art. Behind the Egyptian god Osiris on the dais and Ma'at's feather on the pan stood a working system, a soul-state registry nested within the sphere of Amenti, Earth's multi-density archive, seeded in Lemurian time. The spear maintained the incarnation engine and safeguarded the 12-strand human template, a covenant deposit of the Emerald Order and allied founders. The spear interfaced with that lattice. In qualified hands, it could query akashic layers, reconcile karmic charge, and lawfully call dormant strands to wakefulness when cycles permitted. The instrument was forged into the shape of a warrior's spear, because the job is to point, align, and couple with precision, while grounding and carrying authority. A spear form solves the physics, the ritual, and the human factors in one object. Shaft for meter, head for phase, butt for ground, grip for vow. The form let a single keeper stand as instrument, surveyor, judge, and engineer, without changing tools mid-rite. The Spear of Destiny belongs to the Amenti Palladorian Covenant, and rests with whatever lawful keeper the Sphere of Amenti recognizes. It moves where measure meets mercy. Across epochs it is passed through capable hands. Ea Enki held it as developer steward. Ningishthida Thoth bore it as keymaker and timekeeper. Lemurian matriarchs carried it through crystal galleries during planetary repair. Atlantean hierophants used it to phase-lock pylons and stargates. Ninurta wielded it in crisis stabilization. Temple high priests at Nibru-Ki and later Mount Moriah bore it during calendar and ark rites. The desert lawgiver, mosaic custodian, handled it in oracle and judgment modes when the ark served as the portable node. Others only grasped, never truly held. Marduk/Ra sought it and was refused by the Covenant. Semjaza and Watchers touched its field and found it mute. Later kings and collectors lifted replicas that would not sing. When a bearer breaches vow, councils revoke recognition and the spear goes silent. Authority returns to the Covenant until a new keeper stands true. So, its history reads not as crowns and palaces, but as kept promises and clean hands. Before the deluge, in the long noon of Atlantis, priest-engineers housed the spear within transit liturgies. Its shaft held ME-grade rulings of craft and law, braided into alloys first smelted at Bad Tabira under Jibbal's eye. Its tip functioned as a phase pointer, its pommel as a ground node tuned first to Nibru-Ki's calendar star, later to Mount Moriah's post-deluge control point. With it, they aligned pylons and stargates. The Duat Corridor in Sinai, the Cedar Terrace in Lebanon, the Western Atlantean pylons, the Lamu Earth ferries. Set correctly, It harmonized geodetic meridians with deep space anchors and opened clean passage through the Orion portal toward Imaru, the brown star, about which Nibiru kept its long return. Processions seemed religious, but each gesture solved engineering. Chant matched frequency, incense carried ions, stones held resonance, and the point names the hour. When Tiamat shattered and the heavens took a scar, the spear assumed triage. The spear became a surgeon's instrument. It sealed rents in memory and pinned timelines while stewards stitched them. In Lemuria, matriarchs carried it through crystal galleries that soothed the planet's field. In Atlantis, hierophants set it against etheric pylons that fed arc arrays and city vaults. After the fall, it vanished under protocol. Custody passed through the quiet lineage of craft and conscience. It slept in walls that hummed like bees, in caverns where charge stood like rain, in libraries where air weighed more than stone. That lineage ran through Ea/Enki, called Ptah in Kem, who shaped tools and tempered their use, and through his son Ningishzida/Thoth, who measured time, language, and law. Thoth's emerald tablets were not theatre, they were keys, metered intervals that unlocked strata in the sphere and established the terms under which power could pass into hands. The spear was keyed to those meters. It would not answer seizure, it would answer vow. Keepers learned to speak numbers as prayer, to breathe the sexagesimal, to hear procession as a slow drum. Doors opened when breath and number matched. The Ajiji watchers strained that vow. Stationed between the Mu and Earth, they watched the Adamite daughters in the harvest of men and grew loud in their corridors. Some descended to honour Marduk's welling to Sarpanet and stayed to teach what was kept for stewards. Some Jaza took oaths he could not keep. Azazel taught arts before the conscience to bear them had formed. The spear did not lash out. It revealed. Where lines were crossed, it limited interfaces, closed gates and rebalanced fields, preserving the sovereignty of the incarnation engine against coercion. It reduced bandwidth, rerouted traffic, cooled pylons and returned consent to those under glamour. Its justice was quiet and exact. It preferred remedy to spectacle. Across the pyramid wars, under banners and betrayals, the spear surfaced and sank. Marduk/Ra, lord of towers and thunder, sought artifacts that could command pylons without covenant. He could seize scepters, take cities, move calendars. You could not force a core key to sing to a motive it did not recognize. The spear indexed coherence. It respected house and oath more than rank and roar. Where cities faltered, it stood with farmers on floodplains counting stars. Where courts thundered, it met a single vow in a single chamber and called that enough. In Kem, the same mechanism wore ritual vestments. Osiris judged, Anubis watched, Ma'at weighed, Thoth recorded. Beneath the hymn, the process persisted, soul state, reconciliation and lawful passage through the sphere. When present in temple rite, the spear served as axis mundi. Its point set true north in the field of causes, its butt grounded into grids that remembered the first songs set by the beacon peaks of Giza. Priests circled it to keep human time braided to stellar law. Petitioners felt the air change when the tip named the hour. Feathers floated truer. Hearts quieted enough to weigh themselves. Later ages braided Amenti's lance with another. Rome's spear of Longinus, the spear of destiny, a relic bent to the fates of emperors. One spear promised dominion in the seen. The other guarded balance between seen and unseen. They converse in legend because men want short roads to long thrones. But they are not the same road, and confusing them has ended more than one empire. Where ambition tried to draft Amenti, it met absence. Where service stood and asked for measure, it met presence. After the deluge, the councils, Emerald Order, Galactic Federations, Syrian and Zenitian circles, amended the Prime Directive. Younger worlds were to be spared forced evolutions and gifts that exceed conscience. The Spear's permissions narrowed, access windows shortened, initiation replaced seizure. In each age, a keeper rose, a Lemurian cantor, an Atlantean engineer, a Theban priest of Ptah, a desert prophet, a library builder under stars. The vow remained: use the spear to heal lattices, align gates, and raise strands only in measure with capacity and service. If pride entered, the node closed. If patience entered, the way opened, a step at a time. Technically, the spear is a resonant conductor around a living crystalline core. Its harmonics coupled to sexagesimal counts, precessional portions, and the sky's fixed houses. It speaks in numbers the ziggurats knew and the pyramids echoed. It pairs to bond gates like Sinai Moriah, Nippur Eridu, Lamu Shurapak, and to far anchors named in the stellar ledgers of Kokobel and Barakajau. In the right circuit, it will align a stargate pair and phase lock it to lawful traffic, close a bleeding aperture drawing parasitic influence, map damage in a lineage's strand suite and signal the next permissible braid in the 12-strand template. Query the sphere for memory that can lawfully restore a people after flood, war, or imposed amnesia. Stabilize art nodes and art carrier sites so awakening does not fracture living fields. In practice, this looks like rooms growing still, wind shifting, instruments reading zero drift, and keepers hearing the next instruction without words. Spiritually, it is a covenant made tangible. It does nothing outside the bearer's vow. It obeys clear intent and clean motive. It silences spectacle. It refuses rage. It answers when measure meets mercy. Apprentices learned 3 tests before touch: the breath test for rhythm, the mirror test for motive, the weight test for oath. Fail any, and the tool stayed stone. Where is it now? Stories disagree by design. Some say it sleeps beneath the beacon peaks, humming in the king's chamber when procession reaches a mark. Some keep that it travels with Thoth, who steps through libraries that fold like wings. Others teach that Ninurta buried it, in a field that moves when named. A few offer the highest answer. The spear becomes visible when a keeper becomes axis enough that the world aligns without metal. Then gates open because a human being stands still and true. In such seasons, copies fall silent, and real work resumes in kitchens, workshops, and modest shrines. In this cycle, the arc nodes quicken along the old lay, the 12 tribes codes tremble in marrow and breath, and the Spear of Amenti brightens on its ancestral rails like a lighthouse seen again through fog. The spear answers as it always has. In untrained hands it shears veils, floods the bearer with unfiltered current, and leaves only rupture. In a steady grip it bridges densities cleanly, joins tribes without erasing their songs, and threads the past into the possible without snapping the line. Its wake is calibration, not spectacle. Fields come true, voices quiet, right action becomes obvious. Children sleep through the night. Water tastes sweet again. Old quarrels lose their heat and keep their lessons. Its reappearances have marked pivots in the long record. The founding of Eridu when the first waterworks met sky measure. The raising of Aninu where Ninurta tuned storm and soil. The sealing of Duat so transit served vow instead of appetite. The appointment of calendars at Nibru Key to reconcile men with heavens. The night zoo was answered by right measure instead of revenge. The day Enki stayed the spear's war usage, rebuilt a gate, and saved a world at the cost of a crown. After the deluge, it stood behind veils in the first house, when the foundation stone drank the charge of heaven. It walked with desert carriers when counsel was needed and men were raw. It touched pylons on coasts where Atlantean ruins remembered their function under sand. It steadied hands in hidden libraries when procession turned and keepers changed. Each time its function was single and sufficient. Bring the field to truth, then give the next lawful step. Never force, never flatter. Only restore, align, allow.
So the clean statement endures and expands. The Spear of Amenti is a beacon for ascent that refuses shortcuts, a guidepost for repair that prefers quiet exactness over noise, and the bridge between densities that binds power to vow. It does not endorse banners. It answers coherence. It stands where duty and compassion cross. It departs where hunger for display begins.
The Ark of the Covenant remains the surface housing for these Amenti protocols. As a miniature node, it coupled camps and sanctuaries to the sphere, synchronized the people's sky clock with the Nibruki/Moriah axis, and enforced lawful access. It was never a weapon first. It was a gate interface and law instrument wearing a reliquary's clothes. Acacia overlaid with electrum-grade gold formed a Faraday shell around a living crystalline core.